Let's get this crypto thing going. I'll see what I can get and how quick I can get out. Obviously, just had the other video, so you're just seeing this. If you want to see like the whole market, kind of like how I'm looking at this, it's not like out yet, but by the time this video is out, this will apply. So you can always check this one if you kind of want to see why I'm looking at things in a macro sense. Long story short, though, from it, I think we're in a pretty safe spot. And just to kind of reiterate in a couple seconds, so I think I'd really like to see it come down to here. I really think we have a decent chance of pushing up. I don't want to see this push up a little bit too much more than I think it gets really sketchy and kind of questionable why we're pushing up. Um, at the end of the day, I'm not worried about most things just falling through and breaking their trend unless we see Bitcoin end the day under the hole and then bringing us back into this range. So I'm not really worried about this. So a lot of these should look fairly decent. So let's kind of go through and look at some of them. I haven't looked at a decent amount of them. I think we had our 2-4 here. This is one I actually did take a look at. Let me get rid of some of this other stuff in the way. So this is one where we had, I mean, we'll keep it here for just for the sake of it where it hit, but it's like definitely been pretty aggressive. But we can see even if I just move it, we can see the switch over just in this area right above the 2, right above the 4, my bad, right under the 2. Boom, boom, boom. And we just kind of push up from there. So let me move this to where it currently is. And so we get a future idea from it. So looks pretty decent. And then the one thing we saw is the 4 and the 2 both coincided here. So boom, 4, boom, push up. Pretty straightforward with it. Let's see where our ranges is. I thought I had something here. Okay, 12 adjust to day, week, day, all the way up there, 12. Okay, 4, 2, 1. So 4. So I think we can mark this. This should be fine. Wish I knew where my favorites bar went, but okay, horizontal line. So we'll put this here. So I think the next place is 29. So we'll see. This is going to change every 4 hours, but essentially what we saw here is I'd like to see the same thing up above. It's fairly simple. It's not really that complicated. So right now it is at, if we just look up here on the top left, we'll see it at 299.5. So we'll just put it right there and we'll leave it there. So I would like to see something here. Currently, I would expect us to continue pushing up. Things do look decent. Bitcoin could pull down a little bit, but I don't think it's really anything for like a SOS or worry. I would feel a lot better. We'll see what happens. I would feel a lot better about it coming down because it looks decent to try to push up afterwards, but it doesn't look great enough to where it'll make high gains to where we'll have something like what happened the other day, where it super shoots up and then it just shoots the price of whatever alt it is to Bitcoin down pretty far. So this is also kind of a nice thing though that we have now because we're kind of in between. So as long as things aren't too horrible with where they've gotten knocked to, it should be fine. So anyway, if we just want to pay attention to this, we can see we're just looking for end over 209.95 for the 4 hour, and then we should be able to take, excuse me, we should be able to enter a range somewhere around here. Man, I don't know, I have hiccups. I'm sorry about that. Happened all of a sudden. So this looks pretty nice on the day here. Sad didn't touch, but still got a pretty nice boost up here. Okay, boom, boom, boom. So this looks nice. We got weekday. So 12 hours a little bit sketch on this, and some of these other ones are as well. We got these large time frames with the 12 here. So we'll see what happens. 2 Bitcoin is a little bit sketchy. We'll kind of see what happens with it all. I think no matter what, this is a pretty decent amount. It's a couple percent, right? 2%. So we'll kind of see what happens with it. What I'd like to see if Bitcoin was decent is I'd like to see, just keeping it simple, just kind of like a reversal. So I'd like to see this push up and end a 12-hour up here and then try to regain some of this. It might have to take a little bit though. It really might have to like come up if it wants to fight and then push up. So we'll see what happens with this. This is 12 hours. There's only so many 12 hours over 3 days, right? So let's kind of move on. Let's go to Ethereum to Bitcoin. So this has kind of been struggling. I haven't been a huge fan. This is something I could expect possibly for it. This looks like a decent area, and we can kind of see why, not just with where these lines intersect. I guess I could zoom kind of far out. We can see kind of where this is coming from. We can kind of get rid of this. I don't remember why this was here. But anyway, we can see this is pretty strong. There's probably something back there. I don't remember all of it, but I don't want to waste too much time. The more we can get through, the better. So anyway, just kind of going on it now. It seems pretty nice if it does come down there. I'm not a huge fan. We did knock on right here and push back up, and now we're all the way back down. Another thing we can kind of notice is even though we are pushing off of this area, which makes a little sense, we did start over here. We did end under. We did start under also as well. So with a 12-hour here, I would like to see something honestly come back. And to me, it just looks really ugly. It's going to be pretty tough to see what happens for this. I just don't like what it's been doing. I really don't. I think this is pretty decent, but when we start ending and starting under, I'm really not a big fan, and it makes me wonder the possibility of it turning around. So if something like this does come down, I would expect a decent amount of pressure on this, and then maybe something like this. I think this would be somewhat reasonable. But we'll really have to see what happens there. But I would be worried about this ending under essentially 0.085 or point 0.8. I'm sorry, 0.080541. And if someone wants this, you can always pause it. I'll give you the coordinates. These are the coordinates from it. Boom. I had it from a lower level, but I usually increase the number one price bar to something, another fib level. It's not really too important. So if you want it, you can use that. So we can kind of see what's going on over here in a sense. I think this is the 4-hour. Yeah, so we got some decent stuff here. It's not amazing, but we got some okay stuff going on here in these areas. Boom, boom, pushing up. I think we might have some like 2 and some lower time frame things supporting this also as well. Maybe in a 1 that lines up. Yeah. So I was able to remember this luckily. So I don't think we have any days. Days are like all the way down here. This is pretty sketchy. But there's only so much that can happen. To me, this was pretty bad, but there was other stuff that factored into this, so it kind of is what it is. Um, this is one of the reasons why I usually don't just look at stuff to try to determine what's going to happen. Um, I look at a myriad of things. That's why I made the other video, and I usually feel the need to always state that kind of stuff. So anyway, it looks pretty decent on some of these. Really, the 4 is where it looks pretty decent to kind of push up here. We're gonna have the 12 there, 4, 12. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit interesting with it. It looks like there's a decent amount to gain. It doesn't look like a horrible spot. It's really weird to kind of say. I'm not really sure what to say. We saw down here was a decent entry point. The same thing would have been like a take profit here, wait for it to start above, set another entry point, right? So technically we could kind of get in here, and the place to get out would be if we start back under here and push down like that on a 4-hour time frame. Otherwise, it does look like it's likely that we could come back to 2K. Um, Ethereum to Bitcoin doesn't look that great, so I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that. That's kind of one of the big things there. I'm really not sure how I feel about it because of that. Because I feel like there's a lot of implications there, either of Bitcoin shooting up, which I don't really think it's in a great place to shoot up like 10% from where it is and just blow through everything. We'll see later, but it just doesn't feel like that right now. And then, like Ethereum to Bitcoin doesn't look that great. Now, if it ended right above here, like I'd feel a little bit better about it. And we'll kind of see, maybe if we have another 12-hour end here and we push down just to the line and then push up, that would be pretty good. And I could believe seeing something like that. We kind of go quick. We go Doge, I guess. It's kind of another one. We can go Doge, SHIBA. So Doge, not really too much to say about it. We had a hit down here. Same thing. If anyone wants this, you can pause the video and you can take the coordinates from here. I like this. I like with the holes and everything. I think it's looked pretty well. I haven't moved this in, I don't know, somewhere a long time, somewhere over here in 21s when I made the fib. So it's been holding pretty true, and I like it. So I don't know if this is really much more than we had a bounce spot down here. We had a point, for me, it's 0.75. I use different fib levels. I'd use 0.25, 0.5, 0.75. I figured if people use 0.5, why not just use 0.25, 0.75, and it works out. So we can kind of see stuff like that. We see a hit here, almost a hit here as well, all this other kind of stuff. So this looks pretty standard too, just from where it is. It looks pretty decent to try to keep pushing up. Averages around it. Ooh, it's a little sketchy with the averages around it. So it actually looks like it has a decent amount of work to do here. This doesn't surprise me that it's doing this here, mainly because if we, let's put this here to see. So we can see this was here, and we can see where it initially started. So this doesn't surprise me too much, especially with this huge wick up and starting under it. This essentially would look at it like this. This is the range. So I'm not really sure what they're trying to get anymore. So I kind of get why this is messed up. And then we also can kind of see on the 4-hour too, the range is pretty much right in the same spot, just a little bit higher. So it does look like there's a decent amount of pressure. I actually really am not a big fan of this right now, of what Doge to the dollar looks like, I have to say. I'm really not a fan at all. Besides the fib bounce, it's not that impressive. I don't think this is worth trading, to be honest. There's just too many things. Like we'll have to see something here, and then we'll try to go for here, and then it's like possible, and then maybe something more, but it has to do it really, really, really quick, and it just doesn't look good. Doge to Bitcoin. Let's go day. I haven't seen some of these in a while, so I have to just switch through them real quick just to see. I'm just looking for the relevant, like large time frames that might be near it, just to see what might influence it. This looks pretty easy to try to figure out when I would want to try to get into Doge to Bitcoin anyway. And something like this, I think it's pretty simple. We can see that we have this important 12-hour 200 right here. Ugh, if I can get the freaking thing on it, more or less. There we go. So see, pretty nice. Having some struggle here. We should see some pretty nice stuff here also as well. Um, Nothing too amazing. This looks pretty nice. This is pretty decent right through here. It's okay here. Nothing amazing. When we add it with the line, I really do like what it's done here. Um, this looks pretty decent too as an average. It's either under it pretty well or it pushes up and then goes further. So this looks pretty decent for it. So I like this and I think this is pretty safe. So Doge to Bitcoin looks fairly nice at, if we can get above, where is this? 3974 or 3947. So if we can get a 12-hour above that, I think this is pretty good. But unless I saw something like this, I would expect Doge to probably keep continuing downwards. So we could bounce here. It's somewhat questionable when we have stuff like this right above if we will really maintain this. So we'll see. But to me, like someone could buy down here, but like, okay, let's try to get in here for small gains. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So we can go to SHIBA real quick after this. Got a nice bounce up. Ugh, this sucks because I'm gonna have to, let me see. A lot of these are probably need to be adjusted because they were, you can see they were put from August 29th. Okay, so let's see day. There's no day nearby. We can kind of, let's do this to try to ignore as many as possible. Let's do it the quick way. Week, day. Okay, we have the day up there. 12-hour coming down. Okay, not the best in the world. Do like the 2-hour, what it's been doing here. Do we have anything else down there? And the one lines up nicely with the two again. It's really nice to see things like this. I really like this. Pushing up and like we can just zoom in to kind of see really what I'm talking about. So we can kind of see this pushing up. It looks pretty nice with the trend. But when we look at the 1 hour and we kind of put this together, it looks pretty nice. So not every time is a 1 hour going to beat a two, but it's also really nice when we see these averages pretty close together. There could have been something else. I don't really want to look too much into it because I don't have the time for those specifics and it's not a huge deal. I think we can say from the easiest standpoint, SHIBA looks pretty decent, SHIBA USDT, but it needs to be above. Look up here, 1257. So I'd like to see a 4-hour above 1257. If we could see a 4-hour above 1257, maybe. I really like SHIBA. I think it looks pretty decent. It looks pretty high. Wherever I'm going to say it, it's pretty high. I don't know what this line's here for. It was probably something from a long time ago. Let me get rid of it. 12's there, days here. So let's outline these. Days here, 12's here. Put these out. So to me, I actually think this is pretty decent. I actually really think this is possible. This is what I would treat as a range right here, and this is a range. If we look at this, this makes sense. We could do boom, 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 taking profit. If we want to treat this here, we could see something also come through here as well. But I think it makes more sense. Go boom, 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 and then really just try to see something up here. There's really not as much to gain, and we do start fighting higher averages. So this would be the strongest from the day. This is the 12-hour. This is from the 4-hour. So it's reasonable that it would push up from here. In my opinion, but I'd need to see a 4-hour finish above currently where it's like 13,333 or 1333. So that's kind of for SHIBA, how I feel about that. Let's go to Solana. I think people have brought this up if I remember correctly. Daytime frame looks okay. Anything special about it? Um, don't see anything special. I do like this on the 2 anyway. I think this looks like a pretty decent place with the price action that we've seen here. I think this looks pretty nice. So we could just get a 2-hour end up here, try to take this as a decent point. Who knows where it will go, if anywhere. But I think it looks like a decent entry point to move upwards if it can get there and end at 2 over. Do we have anything nearby? And it looks like there's a lot of room anyway to go up over 10%. Almost 10%. My bad. Bad math. almost 9%, 8.9%, which is pretty nice for what it is. So I actually think that looks pretty desirable. Um, let's ignore Tron. What else do we have? ENS. I think someone brought this up, so we'll see what happened with here. It looked like it switched around. I think on the. Oh, this actually did. This is really interesting. Last time I saw this was here earlier, so I was like, wait, what? So let's kind of get some of this out of the way. Was this where the 1 hour was before? I don't know. I didn't label these when I was looking at them. It's the only issue. Anyway, let's kind of go through it and we can just show, boom. So 12 hour, if we want to see super strength, I would definitely want to get into this. Um, if we saw something start above here at the 1626 on the 12 hour. For 4 hour, let's get rid of these so it looks a little bit cleaner. We can kind of ignore that because it's pretty far away. Why is this here a 1 hour maybe? Why is this here? Why is this line here? Huh. I really don't like that, to be honest. I don't know why that line's there. It actually really frustrates me. Okay, this is because I was looking at it in the short term. Okay, now I know. Now I see. Now I see. So I always try to put it where so I can know where I left it. Okay. So this is just a 30. I guess we'll just move it here for now. It's not really too important. There's been a lot of because there's been a big discrepancy. Like there's no really strong averages down here. We've kind of been fighting with the lower averages. So I'm not a huge fan of leaving this here. Um, in that kind of sense. I think above the 12 hours seems the easiest to me. I'd probably ignore most of this. It's too hard for me to kind of tell what, because then I'll have to say here, and it really just depends if it ever gets up here. With where it currently is, it's pretty sketchy with it. So, I mean, we can see we've just been struggling. Boom, boom, fall back under. This is weird. I don't know why it came all the way up, but, falls back under. So I would imagine that it would keep going down. We can see on the 1 hour here, if we can get a 1 hour finish, this actually doesn't seem that bad. So if we can actually end the 1 hour, above or pretty much right at where do we switch over? Pretty much at 1538, 1537 to like 1545, anywhere in this range, I think is pretty good for this to turn over and try to push up from there. So I do like this from that perspective. I think it looks pretty good. Otherwise, if we end under, I expect us to push down and most likely we'll break under here and most likely we'll break under here too, just because we've already used this and how hard we're pushing down. So that's what it looks like for ENUSDT, ENSBTC. What do we got going on here? Probably another smaller time frame. It's hard to go through these pretty quickly in like a rapid fire succession. What is this, the 2 hour? Okay, so the 2 hour we can kind of see here. It's just been caught under the 2 hour the whole time. I'm surprised it hasn't moved down here. If we want to get back in, I need to see that. And above this was currently it's at 7344. It's going to be moving up slowly, so it's always important, honestly, to really get the most out of this is just to add these. And if you're not using them, hide them and just kind of refer to them. That's my personal opinion. But so I'd expect this to move down. We're playing pretty heavily up here. We can just see that we have all the candle bases are boom all right here. So it would make sense that this would push down. It would look better if it pushed down. And we do have like a 12 a day and a 4 under here. So in that respect, I think this does look pretty nice right here. And this is just a Bitcoin. Oh, and I have it labeled out. So we can just move this up pretty much. So these two areas look pretty nice. If we are looking at, come on. If we're looking at about 6776 and 6983. So that's what I'd imagine this place is. So overall, it looks pretty poopy. I really feel like the easiest way is just to wait and see if it comes above here, or else I wouldn't mess with it. Um, and then on the 1 hour, if I was in a short, I wouldn't want to be in this short because this is like a reversal. So I wouldn't want to be in this reversal because it would test up most likely. It's not a lot. It's hard to get through a lot of these. It's not exhausting, but it's difficult to get through a lot in time. I guess Matic if I have the time. It's just really difficult. Like it takes a couple minutes for each. Now I have 20 minutes. But I think I'll end it here, and then I'll make another one after this, I believe, and then we'll look at Litecoin and some of the other ones and links because I like Litecoin, I like Link, I like Matic. So I think we'll look at Litecoin, Link, Matic, maybe Ethereum Classic, some of these. If anyone has one, you can always put it in chat and I can take a look at it or just come in the stream and let me know. And I'll look at ADA in the next one. I just don't have the time to be able to kind of fit all of them into one video. So anyway, take care, guys. I'm going to link this to the other video and I'll make the other one. And then I will link that to this also. And then maybe, probably. I might just go to sleep. We'll see. But take care.